And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. And welcome to our weekly product webinars at Humanitech. We are going to give it another minute or two so that you still have some time to grab a coffee, some biscuits if you're having tea. And yeah, we'll give everyone another minute or two to dial in before we kick it off. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening again from Humanitech's product webinar that we run every week. Every week we try to give you a little bit of a different flavor to how Humanitech Guardian, as well as the underlying decentralized knowledge graph, can be leveraged to the best possible potential and used in different use cases so that we could together also explore different ways of really limiting AI harms, which is what Humanitech is very much standing for. Speaking about AI and AI harms, there's an update on the AI doc, which I believe is now, for background, AI doc is a documentary that was co-created by one of the Humanitech's co-founders, Asa Raskin, together with Tristan Harris and many other very cool people that put together what is looking like to be one of the most interesting documentaries for sure to come out of this week, this year. Sorry, this week, a low bar, this year, and it speaks very much to the importance of why we have to focus on thinking broadly about artificial intelligence. So, as a backdrop, I propose we do a quick screen share of the trailer, so you all have a chance a little bit to see a sneak peek, and that is also going to ease us into the topics, and then we'll jump right into the product webinar of this week as well. So let me just share the screen and off we go.
Technology goes wrong. It can go quite wrong.
Your fear of AI is the collapse of humanity.
Well, not the collapse, the abrupt extermination. There's a difference.
So I started making this movie because my wife is 6 months pregnant. Is now a terrible time to have a kid.
I mean, let's just be honest. I know people who work on AI risk who don't expect their children to make it to high school.
How does AI understand pretty much everything?
It's surprisingly straightforward.
Intelligence is about recognizing patterns. If you have learned those patterns, you can generate new information. AI is moving so fast.
It's being deployed prematurely. There's so much potential for things to go wrong.
Why can't we just stop?
All these companies are in a race
To get AI that's vastly more intelligent than people within this decade.
China, North Korea, Russia.
Whoever wins is essentially the controller of humankind.
We need to take a threat from AI as seriously as global nuclear war.
It feels like I have to find these CEOs and get them in the movie.
Great.
I want to ask you to promise me that this is going to go well.
That is impossible.
Okay. Am I hopeful? Yes. Am I confident that it'll go right? Absolutely not.
AI is the thing that can solve climate change.
We could cure most diseases.
What if it's expanding what is humanly possible?
This is the most extraordinary time ever. The only time more exciting than today is tomorrow.
I already love you.
Okay.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
By using AI, we're about to move off of the Earth into the cosmos.
If we can be the most mature version of ourselves, there might be a way through this.
This is the last mistake we'll ever get to make.
Awesome. So if you are, I think, in the US and possibly some other jurisdictions as well, it's a good time to check out your streaming services if this is already available for you to deep dive into. But we will, definitely use this backdrop of the AI doc and the importance of risks which are raising together with the rise of the capacity of artificial intelligence. And we will take another look at how Humanitech is working to create products that can curb some of that harms, as well as kind of start to move from corrective also towards the preventive. This week, so if you remember last week, we were looking a bit closer to Hollywood. So this week, we're going to kind of take a bit of a different view or a different approach, and we're going to check out something that you maybe have already noticed on our social media posts, and that is that we are going to look at the different harms that are appearing in the space of media and journalism. So we have kind of taken a bit of a closer look at that industry. Maybe I can do a little bit of a screen share as well as we go through this. So you've seen that, on this particular post, we were looking at media and how the trust and misinformation is really impacting that whole vertical. And to be honest, we were also involved in a few conversations within that vertical that were quite interesting, as one of the points that was mentioned really stuck with me, and that was that when it comes to trust, journalism and reporting was always an important point to make sure that there is trust in the information that the media outlets are providing. It's just that it was kind of a bit easier to or a bit more controlled from the reporter's point of view to be able to establish it. And kind of like more of digital trust was almost like a nice to have thing, whereas right now in the period of the last even couple of months, it really moved into the must-have category. So that's why it was also we were prompted to kind of open up a discussion as well as the problem statement around how to look at trust and misinformation when it comes to media and the people that are making media happen. And in this case, we're going to be looking at journalists. So, by the way, there is a chat window there, or comments windows for questions that you can put in. So if there's anything that you would like to kind of double click on or maybe open up a discussion on, I know today is just I'm flying solo on this product webinar. It's usually Chris and me who are doing these things together, but I'll do my best at multitask and check out if any of the questions are coming in and not to miss them and address them as we go. and as we were checking out this media and trust information. So yeah, so we just posted a few things that we've seen. Like there's just a bunch of stuff that's happening in this vertical, from deep fakes that are targeting journalists specifically. It's a very, very polarized space across different countries as well. Like it's very much a global phenomenon. There is a little a quite significant bias toward when it comes to gender targeting. So the women are targeted more than their men colleagues. Yeah, and it really moves beyond just let's say digital identity attacks towards really going at the very core of what the media space is working on. So, you know, releasing different false narratives, fabricated articles, and deep fakes to just create misinformation. And that's something also that we saw, not just us, but there was literally a post today, I believe, was it 16th? Yeah. So today by Digital EU, how, you know, not everything you read online is true. And if you look at the GIF that they published, it's you know, raising very much some of the things that we're looking at and speaking about today, how to do fact check. And yeah, it's a nice graphic showing how everything is connected, how everything is a graph, and to be sure to check the source. Yeah, definitely a good point. And before we jump into the into the product section of this week, I had another tweet open because it was around conspiracy theories, which obviously aren't a new phenomenon. But last week we were looking at, you know, Polymarket, which is a very fun thing in terms that even though that before we had, you know, conspiracy theories were more like a digital thing, whether it's 1 or 0, you kind of believe it or not. With Polymarket, it now became more of a, you know what, I give it a 5% chance for that to happen versus not. And it's like a kind of a breeding ground for also the conspiracy theories to expand. So I actually wanted to take one such conspiracy theory to use it as a way of showcasing one of the up-and-coming features that we were speaking about last week as well. And that is the deep forensics. So the forensics deep research is something that we have put our Humanitech Guardian agent towards. I hope this is big enough to see. Yeah, it is. So what I actually took was a tweet which I found around the yeah, it was the news of the week. It was this tweet or the post, and that was about the Artemis 2 going into space, and then we had a lot of kind of the conspiracy theory coming up again about the moon landing, whether that is true or not. So that looked like a fitting exercise. You know what it can, you know, terms that are not visible to naked eye. And don't hold back on going through a lot of content to find relevant signal. So I gave you this particular tweet as a focal point to start from, and then it went, you know, this forensic deep research is really something that allows us to go much deeper than the quote unquote regular detection that Guardian does. It goes into even more sources. It actually doesn't put an identity of a person in the middle, but it puts a piece of content in the middle of the graph, and then does a very extensive research around it. It searches for coordination clusters, if there's, you know, what type of flagged accounts exists, if there's any counter narratives that, which in this case actually was dominating. So being that counter conspiracy theory content was dominating the interactions, the mainstream media was just debunking it, and there was no financial exploitation detected. But if you go and look at it a little bit deeper, you know, you'll see that the agent actually kind of goes through quite a bit of things to figure out what is happening around that particular narrative or around that particular content. It looks for different types of patterns, which were mentioned before, that maybe a human eye wouldn't necessarily see from the get-go, and it does so across multiple different platforms. Actually, even more platforms that we initially have with Guardian, which includes like the 4chan, which includes an 8chan, and like the dark web. So a bunch of more coverage, and actually also you get a whole like a PDF report with it that I wanted to just double click on, not so much to go through the 100 pages of the report, which is very, very extensive. But yeah, to show you basically this. And what I'm opening up here is basically a graph that that the agent created around this particular topic. So all the nodes and the edges that it created in order during its analysis. So for every that type of a deep search, we see that this type of graph is created. And yeah, for just for those who maybe aren't as frequent listeners of our product webinars on a weekly basis, what we're looking at here when it comes to the graph is actually the Origin Trails decentralized knowledge graph, which is the data layer and the trust layer that Humanitech Guardian is using when it's constructing its view on the threats that it's finding. So there we go. That's like a very, very brief overview of a feature that I am very excited about, because it's something that makes Guardian, it takes components of Guardian and makes positions it in a way where we can go much more in depth about a particular topic than we would usually go through our, let's say, what we're going to see right now, which is more of a generic detection, forensics, and takedown approach. Alrighty, so let me then take this. We're speaking about for those of you who maybe are joining a bit late to this week, we are speaking about the media and the journalism. So what I will load up right now is we're actually going to try to check out two profiles today, which are connected. And they're going to be from a media house and a journalist. We are going to be looking at CNN and Jim Acosta separately to see what type of threats we can see for each of those accounts, because that's also something that we saw to happen in this space, is that obviously not just the journalists or not just the individuals are the ones who are targeted, but also the brands and the organizations themselves. Obviously, it's a lot of it is charged with polarization on whether it's political news or similar, which then creates quite a bit of attack surface from either side to create content that's harmful, which is something that Guardian AI agent has been created to both detect, create forensic evidence about, and also take down. Okay, so maybe let me see if we can start with actually Jim, and then we will go towards CNN as well. Share screen and boom. Okay, so there we go. So we have basically a showcase account for Jim Acosta, the journalist from the United States, and what we are actually seeing here right now is one view into the Humanitech Guardian AI agent. This is an AI agent which has an objective to protect an individual against harms online, and everything you see on this dashboard view that we're seeing right in front of us is actually something that is also able to be accessed via different ways. So as an example, I have here a chat connection of Telegram and WhatsApp coming very soon that allows me to connect my chat interface with the agent, meaning that I'm not confined to a predetermined dashboard to connect or to interact with the data that Guardian has found about me, but rather I can kind of create my own point of view, my own questions, my own objectives. I can set my own goals with Guardian, and Guardian is able to then take that and create different types of activities for itself, so that but using all the actions that you're seeing me doing during this walkthrough. So whether it's accessing threats, acting upon them, or taking them down, all of these things are able to be accessed through a chat or messaging app that you're using for anything else as well. So if we check out the potential threats, you will see, let's load a bit more of them. You will see them basically getting categorized across 3 different main streams. One is the similar account, which covers fake accounts. So that would mean someone trying to impersonate Jim by either taking his likeness, taking his content, and then posting as such. Social media content covers potentially harmful content about Jim that spreads across different platforms. We'll check that out. And then LLM risks are basically what are the AI systems saying about you, this is something that obviously we can use to make sure that we understand how us or our brands or organizations are presented towards the users of those AI systems. So we can go through this one by one. So we'll start with the similar account, which again accumulates different types of fake accounts across different platforms. So the platforms are X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. And this accounts basically, or accounts from these platforms get detected across basically on a daily basis. And then as they get flagged, whether if they are relevant, if they have the potential to be harmful, they are presented to the user, and then the user is able to go through them, figure out if this is something that they feel is okay, or this is something that they want to put into evidence, right? So if we go, I don't know, real Jim, this sounds like a possibly, sounds like a fake account. So, obviously tries to mimic the anchor, but like it's not the official account. So that's why you would, in this particular case, go towards evidence and basically escalate this particular potential threat into an actual threat. Now, with this action, what is important is that the agent learns from my activity as well. So every time I flag something as safe, the agent knows that similar accounts to whatever I marked safe will in the future have a lower risk score. And if I put something into evidence, that means that this particular account has been, from my perspective, marked as harmful, and that in the future, accounts that are more similar to this, they will be basically weighted with the higher risk score. So over time, the agent learns from you, and it generates more relevant information to you. Now, and this we can do for all the generated fake accounts, these types of actions. For the social media content, similar things happen. So we have basically platforms spanning X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. We can filter through different types of follower count or the risk score. And what we are then able to do is, there's also this, when it comes to content pieces, you have these question marks. So the question marks would explain why AI has flagged this as a harmful post. And here you see it says that it's a severe and specific defamatory claim, and that it was, it speaks about the professional malpractice and could cause a reputational damage. Now, if, let's say, Jim would say this is, this crosses the freedom of speech line, and goes into defamation, and I want to put this into evidence, you can do it by so. And for some other stuff, he can say, all right, this is just someone having an opinion. I'm not going to really get involved with that, and I'm just going to say mark it as safe. And then again, here, when the agent starts to learn from you what you find to be harmful and what you find to be not harmful, there's always a like you see, from the risk score, it's not just 0 or 1, but there's always a sort of like a shades of gray or a laddered approach. And from that, as the agents start to learn, you basically can start growing the bigger alignment with the agent, so that anything that lands on the either sides, let's say very harmful or very safe, you can give the agent it has the possibility to act on its own as well. So let's say that if you're in a similar account and you say, you know what, buddy, everything above 80, you're good to just take down because I know that you're like good enough when it comes to that. And anything below 20, you can just mark as safe, and I will only deal with those who are between 20 and 80 that are kind of like at quote unquote edge, or like in the middle section. And the same thing you could do with harmful material. You can say, all right, we have refined ourselves so much that anything beyond 90 or 95, you can just put into evidence and actually start taking down, and anything under certain threshold, you can just mark safe. And in this way, we try to kind of lower the noise and maximize the signal for the users. That is basically achieved in this way. And yeah, every account gets equipped, you'll see with after also with a certain amounts of automated takedowns. So if you start to automate the kind of select as harmful process as well, you basically can have a more of a like a just a automated system taking off things that you are have trained the model or trained the system to be harmful for you. So this is us kind of going through two categories: the similar accounts and social media content. The third one is the LLM risks, and here we're talking about what are AI systems saying about you. What we do is we go across OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, XAI, and Perplexity, and we create prompts that are not too suggestive. They're more like something that someone would ask a system that tries to find something about you. And then we see what the systems are returning. All of these models are commercially available models. So we do not run anything on our own, but we rather rely on what would be a response if anyone else would be prompting these models from the API. And you can see that there's different types of kind of risk scores that are appended here for different types of risk threat types. And if you can check out the different types of what different models are saying and why this is problematic. For some, we have also said that we want specifically them to name the source, which quite often proves to be a tricky demand, because the models are, especially like in this case, we're looking at Grok, the Grok 3. It names a source, but that source just resolves into being a 404 page. So it knows that something around Fox News would make sense to speak about Jim, but it obviously does not resolve into an actual article. So there's these types of things that the user can make Frontier Labs aware about, to say, hey, this is something I'm not okay about, and like we can then continuously work to refine what type of responses are being given. You can also add your own custom prompts. If there is something that you would like to learn about you or your brand and what the models are saying about you, or if there is something you're particularly worried about, that the model can, that our Guardian can go and ask all these different models, and then figure out if there's anything harmful coming back, and you will equally get it served through this. And then again, like if you want to say that this is something that was not good, you just put it into evidence, and then this is basically jumping in the next phase. So this is us covering the detection side. So the detection part across these different platforms is giving us all these different threats collected, and now we have already, there's 3,000 of those. We have marked some of them safe, and we have marked some of them as evidence. So we'll check out those who we've actually marked as evidence to see how we can now go further. So if we take a closer look at any of these particular threats, we'll see that we get like a thread details here, which is just a detail from the post image to who's the author, display name, so on and so forth, that we can quickly access here. If we want to have this in the PDF format, we can also do that, so that it's more easily dealt with if you need it as a piece of evidence to keep with you. All of the evidence is also added into the decentralized knowledge graph, so it has the verifiability of the origin trail DKG added into it. So we just keep growing that graph for you and growing that context about you, so that we can, the Guardian can do a better job in protecting you. Now, this what we were looking here before can be further enriched. So this is the point of the the showcase we were doing in the beginning of the of this product webinar, when we were looking at the Artemis 2 hoax and the whole forensics evidence that we picked out around that. So this is actually a showcase which will be introduced into the evidence pack part of Guardian, meaning that if you would like to learn more about who started this particular narrative, was it this person who was publishing it here that you caught it, or has this appeared previously? Has it spread across multiple platforms? Is this an isolated incident? So all of these things is basically something that the forensic, like a deep research, is able to answer for you in much more detail. It's something that takes a little bit of time, because the agent needs to go and it needs to find. So it's not like an instant response, but you basically have a much more rich context around the particular threat. And because this is a more intensive exercise, it's only basically done on a per user request. Once we already have identified that this particular threat is of certain high level of threat or risk. That's kind of us on the evidence or the forensic side of things. And then of course the next step, we can check this out for any of the threats. It's not just limited to one. But then the next step is, okay, I want to start taking things down. How can I do that? And there's basically two options. The first option is that you let the agent help you out. And the agent can help you out by giving you guidance, meaning that it goes through the evidence pack, it understands which platform is it on, and then it streams everything you need to do to request the takedown yourself. So here is how you report it. You go to X, you put in all this information, and you're basically ready to take it down. But that could be quite tricky, especially if you want to do more of these things. It can be quite tricky in terms of that it's time intensive. So there's also an alternative path, which is much faster, and that is the automate takedown button or make it go away button. And if you do this, then basically you can, there we go, we'll just put this in. What you do is you need to fill out your details and then just accept the terms for the takedown. And as easy as such is basically, well, not allowing me to go through, because an email must be an email. Well done, our product team, for the QA on this, but I will just jump out of here so we don't spam too much the backend. And I'll just jump in and I will let you know that what happens here is basically that our automated takedown status then gets changed into basically pending response. And then the takedown progress goes through a completed step to view all the details. So from evidence collected to the takedown request submitted, the cease and desist letter sent. Basically what we do is we take the evidence that we have here, organize it in a very nicely structured way so that the platforms have a much easier time understanding what the threat is about, or what the problem that the user has with that piece of content is, so that they could make a faster decision. So like, and that's what we also see, is that for certain threat types, especially like impersonations, the turnaround time is much faster, like down to under a day. So that's something that all of the accounts come equipped with, so that you have this make it go away button that you can just fire away here and then have these threats be dealt with. Like I said, these things can also be triggered via your messaging app, so you don't have to come into this interface. You can just say, look, found this, would like to be taken down, and Guardian takes it down for you, or Guardian makes you notifies you, hey, there's a new impersonation that has a high risk score. Are you okay for us to take it down? And you just confirm it, or give it even access to do it autonomously. So that'd be a quick overview of our journalism account, and you'll see that think the one thing that we spot here, especially if you look at just the sheer size of the content, is when it comes to journalism and narratives, it's very, very, very large, right? It's a very polarizing sphere, the media space, especially in obviously in the last period, and that means that there is a lot of content getting created, especially as it's becoming easier and easier. It's yeah, that's something to kind of keep an eye on, both from the perspective of what is the preserving, I guess, the truth, and then what is something that you want to be around there about you or about your company, and but also from the perspective of misinformation, right? Like it's how are we making sure that what's really spreading is has a source to trust. I'm also just going to show you a quick view into an account of CNN, just to let you know that this is there we go. I hope I'm opening up the right one. Yeah, perfect. So just to give you a view that CNN is quite on par with. So this is everything we're seeing here. Also, is a generic setup of the systems, right? So there's no really refinement done. So everything you see is very, very raw. Also, including the risk scores. The risk scores themselves get adapted to how the user uses it over time. And yeah, like if we check out the threats also on CNN, I think we'll be, let's fire them up with a little bit more threats here. And yeah, now if we go into the similar accounts, there's, like, you see that there's a bunch of stuff that that really comes up that are very weird. Usernames and display names, and are leveraging the brand very heavily, are trying to create misinformation, are trying to create certain content that is just interfering with what actual CNN reporting is. And it's not really limited to CNN by no means, right? So this is just one example. Like any media house that we're seeing, down to also smaller and then regional actors, is faced with different degree of such problems, but they're equally present. So one thing that maybe is good to notice here is as well that whilst we saw now 2 different accounts being presented for both CNN and one of the reporters, like if you imagine having a company account, one account can also cover multiple personas, especially in the higher tiers. It's something that we can set up in a way where your company is protected, and then also like a suite of, let's say, your either top management or top like most exposed individuals are then included under the same account, and then you're able to basically have one person manage the infringements or the potential threats for both the company as well as the individuals from the same point of view. Okay, I think at this point I am going to just run through quickly to see if there's anything hanging that I wanted to cover that I didn't go through yet. But I think we covered all the bases. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'd say that if there is a relevant discussion to be had around the media, reporters, journalists, sphere, this is something that the team is very excited to pick up and to explore how Humanitech Guardian could be of help in these types of scenarios. There's a few other ways of leveraging Guardian in this industry that we haven't covered yet, but I think we will over the course of the next couple of let's say weeks. So it is definitely an interesting topic. For the next week, we will be here on Thursday again at the same hour. We will be covering all the novelties that are coming up for next week. I'm not spilling the beans just yet, So you'll have to just dial in to see everything that's going on. And I think next week we're back to being a tandem in this call. So I think Chris is going to join me back at the product webinar. But until then, now I'll have to remember, stay safe, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay human, everyone. And I wish you all a very, very nice day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.